Hello, everybody. I hope everyone's having a really good day. The fixture for the 2026 AFL season is out. We're going to have a look at it in terms of how it affects Essendon, who we're playing twice, interstate trips, we've got all that sort of stuff, because it's always exciting when the fixture comes out. You can start planning the season. I try to get to one interstate trip or one away game every year. I go to all the home games, of course. Last year I went to the Gold Coast. I've actually never been to Adelaide. I've never been to the Adelaide Oval, so I think I might go across for the game against Port Adelaide in round 2. I've actually been to, Adelaide when the Adelaide teams used to play at the old football park. I went to a final in 2003 when Port Adelaide beat us. I caught the bus over. But I haven't been to the Adelaide Oval at all, and I haven't been to Adelaide since the Adelaide team started playing there. So I might get over there for that now that the fixture is out. So we're just going to have a bit of a look at who we play twice. So the 6 teams who we play twice are as follows. We play North Melbourne twice. We play Melbourne twice. We play Port Adelaide twice. We play Hawthorn twice. We play GWS twice. And we play the Brisbane Lions twice. So it's a bit of a mixed bag there. We've got 3 teams that were not that good last year, North Melbourne, Melbourne and Port, and 3 teams that were pretty good last year, Hawthorn, GWS and Brisbane. Lots of people like to analyse the difficulty of the draw. My feelings on this are that in some respects it doesn't really matter. First of all, you can't do anything about it, so there's no point whinging about it. But secondly, look, people base the difficulty of the draw on what it was like last year. But no one really knows how good these teams are going to be this year. You just don't know. And it's not even so much about who you play. It's about when you play them. For example, North Melbourne, who were obviously a poor team last year, played the Brisbane Lions down in Tasmania and drew against them and probably should have won that game. If they'd got them a couple of weeks later or a couple of weeks earlier, Brisbane might blow them off the park. So you can get good teams on a bad day. You can get bad teams on a good day. So it's not really even about who you play. It's about, when you play them, the timing of when you play them, all that sort of stuff. And I think over the course of 23 matches, you pretty much finish where you deserve to finish. I mean, there are some sports, I know in the gridiron in America, in the NFL, there's 32 teams and a 17-game season. So you play 3 teams twice, 11 teams once, and there's 17 teams who you don't even play. So your fixture can have an enormous impact on where you finish, given that there's more than half of the competition you don't play against at all. Who you're drawn to play against in the World Cup, in the soccer, in a group, for example, can have a big impact. But I think in the AFL, yes, you can have a small impact, but the reality is that no matter what, everybody has still got to play everybody once. So you play some teams twice, but everybody has still got to play everybody at least once. It's not like you can avoid certain teams, right? You've still got to at least play everyone. And I think 23 games is a big enough sample size to for the ladder to be relatively even, to be relatively accurate at the end of the home and away season. But having said that, let's have a look at our interstate trips for the year. So we have 5 interstate travel games, not including gather rounds. So the 5 games that we have to travel are against Port Adelaide, the Gold Coast Suns, the GWS Giants, the West Coast Eagles, and the Brisbane Lions. And we have a 6th travel game, which is against Melbourne, of course, on gather round. So I was having a bit of a whinge in the gather round video I made the other day that we play Melbourne in gather round, and that was, I'm sick of playing them in gather round. I want to play them in Melbourne. Well, we played them twice, as luck would have it. And I think it's for the first time in about 10 years or so. We haven't played Melbourne twice in a very, very long time. But we do play them twice, so we do get them in Melbourne. I think the AFL probably realised that when they scheduled the gather round match, and they probably gave us the second up match against Melbourne to sort of counter that gather round match. So we have the 5 interstate trips: Port Adelaide, Gold Coast, GWS, West Coast, Brisbane, Melbourne for gather round makes 6, and we also have to play Geelong at Geelong. But one positive is that we only play Geelong once, and we only play the Western Bulldogs once. We had to play 4 games last year in total against those 2 sides, and we got obliterated 4 times. So the Geelong game is late in the season. Just looking at the fixture, it's 15. Only the first 15 rounds are listed, and then the last 8 matches will be decided based on performance of the teams. I've got some sympathy for the AFL when they do the fixture. Everyone likes to whinge and complain about the fixture, why they haven't got more primetime games or why this is that and that. like I don't know if anyone's ever tried to do a bit of a mock fixture, but it's incredibly difficult. There are so many variables to take into account. You've got 6-day breaks and 7-day breaks, and everyone is allowed to have, I think, no more than a couple of 5-day breaks. You've got contracts to play a certain amount of games at venues and all sorts of different things. There's just so many things to consider. And then, of course, you've got the commercial requirements on top of that. Everyone wants to know, why your team, for example, gets to play on afternoon games at 1:10 on a Sunday. Well, maybe if you perform better, you wouldn't get those games. Essendon's got a lot of those games this year, games not in prime time, and that's perfectly fine. We didn't perform last year. We've got a couple of prime time games. We start off, I'm going to go through the fixture in a minute, but we start off with Hawthorn on a Friday night. But the reality is we've got a lot of games in non-prime time slots because we didn't perform. So that's the commercial reality of the AFL. They're a business and they want to make money and they want to make sure that the good games are in the good time slots. So we'll just go through the games quickly now. We start off Friday night, Essendon versus Hawthorn. We have a home game against Hawthorn. We have 5 home games at the MCG this year, up from 4. So we'll get through those in a minute. Next, we have a away game against Port Adelaide at the Adelaide Oval on Sunday in round 2 at 3:15. On the Saturday of the following round, we host North Melbourne at Marvel Stadium in a Saturday night match. Sunday in round 4, which is the Sunday evening prior to the Easter Monday public holiday. So it's a public holiday match of sorts, this one. Western Bulldogs host Essendon. So we only play the Bulldogs once, thank God. Then we have Gather Round in round 5 against Melbourne, as we know. The week after that, we play the Gold Coast Suns up on the Gold Coast on Saturday at 1:15. Then the week after that, we have Anzac Day, 4 games on Anzac Day this year because it falls on a Saturday. That's at 3:15 on Saturday, April 25th. Then after that, we have the Brisbane Lions at Marvel Stadium at 12:35 on Saturday, May the 2nd. I was hoping this would be one of our MCG games. It's interesting, that particular round, there's a second game at Marvel Stadium that night at 7:30. So you sort of wonder why one of those games, or perhaps the Essendon game, can't be at the MCG. But anyway, we play Brisbane at Marvel Stadium at 12:30 on Saturday, May the 2nd. Then the next round, we travel to Sydney to play the Giants. So we've got a lot of travel games early in the season, as you can see, at 4:15 on a Saturday. Then we play Fremantle at the MCG, as we did a couple of years ago, one of our 5 MCG home games at 1:10 on a Sunday. We have Dreamtime at the G following that on the Friday night. Then we have, in round 12, our 4th interstate trip in the first 12 rounds. We play the West Coast Eagles. We only have one more after this for the whole year, though. So only one more travel game after round 12. So there's goods and bads about that. Then the week after that, we play Carlton in the King's Birthday Eve match, which has kind of become a tradition now. And then after that, the last fixtured game, we play Melbourne, a home game for the Demons this time, and that one is at the MCG. Finally, we get Melbourne at the MCG. So the games to finish the season, which have not been fixtured, which will be fixtured at a later point. Home game for North Melbourne against us at Marvel Stadium. We play St Kilda at Marvel Stadium, Brisbane at the Gabba, GWS at Marvel Stadium, Hawthorn, a home game for the Hawks at the MCG. We host Adelaide at Marvel Stadium. We're away against the Cats down at Cardinia Park. The second last penultimate game is against the Swans, and that is at the MCG. So of our 5 MCG games, 2 of them are against non-Victorian sides. We have Fremantle and Sydney coming to the MCG to play us. And we finished the season against Port Adelaide. So the split of games is 8 games at Marvel Stadium, 8 games at the MCG. That makes 16. Of the remaining 7 games, there's the 5 interstate trips, 1 gather round game, and Geelong at Cardinia Park. So that is the fixture. It's always interesting. What do you guys think? Do you reckon it looks tough? Do you reckon there are some positives about it? Look, like I said, I'm not really worried about whether it looks tough or easy or anything like that. I guess on the face of it, it kind of looks difficult. But, look, like I said, it depends on when you meet teams, the timing of when you meet teams, some teams that you might think will be good teams end up not being good teams, all that sort of stuff. It doesn't really matter. I just thought it's interesting to have a look at who will be playing this year. Will anyone be going to some of the interstate games? I'm assuming a lot of you will be going to the Melbourne games. Who will be going, travelling to the interstate? I'm looking forward to perhaps going to Adelaide. I think that'll be fun. Never been there before. So I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think of the fixture for the Bombers. Have a great day, everybody. And as always, go Bombers.